When I was in plastic surgery residency, I thought I had the hair loss thing figured out, but I was dead wrong. Despite years of medical training, I didn't actually understand the complexity of hair loss until it started happening to me. And the truth is, most doctors, myself included, get less than a few hours of hair loss education. And that's if we're lucky. Suddenly, I was faced with my own thinning hair and realized just how much I didn't know. But before I share all that I've learned, we first have to rewind the clock to understand how I got there. I first noticed my own hair thinning the way that many of us probably do, by staring a little too long in the mirror, trying to convince myself that the lighting was just bad. But there was no denying it. My temples were starting to recede, I was getting some comments from my viewers, and the hair at the front of my scalp looked thinner. Especially in this video of a 3-day water-only fast where the light was shining through the window at just the right angle, I was concerned. It was the classic signature of male pattern hair loss or androgenic alopecia. But even after years of medical training, even knowing the textbook symptoms inside and out, I still questioned my own diagnosis. Was it just my imagination? Was I overreacting? The irony, it wasn't lost on me. But this was a real wake-up call. Despite my background, I didn't actually understand hair loss as deeply as I thought. So, what did I do? My initial reaction wasn't all that different from what I imagine many of you might do. I found myself instinctively doing a quick Google search for hair loss causes and treatments and scrolling through YouTube videos from various supposed experts. I even asked a few friends who were also noticing their own thinning hair, what they were using, and if anything actually worked. But then the doctor in me kicked in, and I truly went down the rabbit hole. I read the research, dug into clinical studies, watched lectures, and reached out to hair loss experts. What I uncovered completely changed my perspective. I found out that there are over 30 different types of hair loss. And on the surface, many of them look identical, but their causes and treatments are wildly different. What makes this even more complicated is that if you have 2 different types of hair loss, what improves hair loss in one condition might actually make it worse for the other. It's also caused by a wide range of factors, from genetics and hormones to inflammation, nutritional deficiencies, stress, autoimmunity, and more. I quickly realized that hair loss isn't just a simple cosmetic issue, nor is it the straightforward problem it's often made out to be. In reality, it seems so simple, but it's far more complex than most realize. Totally unexpected. To address it properly, you need to understand exactly what's going on beneath the surface, and most people never get that far because they don't even know that such underlying causes even exist. Now, looking back at my hair loss journey, there are 5 things that I really want you to take away. So first, you have to start with a diagnosis. This may sound obvious, but it's often overlooked. Many of us jump straight to the most obvious answer, male or female pattern hair loss, without taking a moment to really look at what's going on. Even as med students, we all learn about telogen effluvium, seborrheic dermatitis, and the other conditions that can cause hair loss. But when it's happening to us, it's so easy to simplify and assume, well, I'm just a guy or a gal and I'm getting older, so it must be androgenic alopecia. But the truth is that hair loss can have a lot of different causes, and figuring that out is the first and most important step. If you don't identify what you're dealing with, you can easily end up wasting time and money on the wrong solutions. Now, getting a proper diagnosis means going deeper than just looking at your hair in the mirror from every single angle. That's where trichoscopy comes in. It's using a high magnification scope to look at your scalp up close. It reveals details like miniaturization, inflammation, and subtle scarring that you'd likely miss with the naked eye. Blood work is just as important. Hair loss isn't always just about genetics, despite what many think. It's often a direct reflection of your overall systemic health. Tests for thyroid function, iron, vitamin D, and other labs can reveal hidden contributors to hair loss. Without this kind of workup, you're shooting in the dark. For example, even if your vitamin D level falls within the normal range of 30 to 70 nanograms per deciliter, it can still be contributing to your hair loss. That's because normal is not the same as optimal. Most doctors are trained to flag only what falls outside of these standard reference ranges, not to evaluate whether your levels are ideal for specific outcomes like hair growth. What's more concerning is that many people aren't even in the so-called normal range to begin with. And because most never run these comprehensive labs with 60 to 100 biomarkers or more, they have no way of identifying what's suboptimal or slipping under the radar. I also realized that while finasteride can help, it's really only part of the solution. Finasteride works by blocking one of the 2 enzymes, specifically 5-alpha reductase type 2, that converts testosterone into DHT. Since DHT is the primary cause of most male pattern hair loss, lowering it is crucial. But because finasteride largely leaves type 1 alone, and it's not the most potent DHT blocker overall, some people don't see the regrowth that they'd hope for. This is where dutasteride enters the picture. Dutasteride inhibits both type 1 and type 2 5-alpha reductase, and it has a much higher affinity, 10 times higher for type 2 than finasteride. This results in more overall inhibition of DHT, which often leads to better regrowth and greater hair density over time. Clinical trials have also shown that dutasteride not only promotes more and thicker hair growth, but also carries a lower risk of certain side effects. The hypothesis is that dutasteride is a larger molecule, making it less likely to cross the blood-brain barrier, unlike finasteride. Just review the risks and benefits with your doctor before making the switch. Another thing many people don't know is that minoxidil is a prodrug. This means that it doesn't make hair grow by itself. It needs to be activated by an enzyme in your scalp called sulfotransferase. The catch is that some people have low levels of this enzyme, which is one big reason why minoxidil seems to work great for one guy and does absolutely nothing for his buddy. This is where tretinoin becomes helpful. Applying a small amount of 0.01% tretinoin alongside minoxidil can upregulate the enzyme that activates minoxidil. Clinical studies have even shown that a once daily application of minoxidil with 0.01% tretinoin can be just as effective as using 5% topical minoxidil twice a day on its own. So you don't even have to apply it as often. Essentially, tretinoin helps your scalp produce more of that crucial enzyme, allowing the minoxidil to do its job properly. This can make a noticeable difference if you haven't seen much progress. Plus, tretinoin acts as a penetration enhancer, helping the active ingredients better reach the hair follicles where they can work their magic. Next, scalp inflammation is a silent killer that most people overlook. You might be hyper-focused on the hair itself, how thick it is, how much it sheds, but I can tell you from experience that the health of your scalp is absolutely paramount. Conditions like dandruff, seborrheic dermatitis, and other inflammatory issues can choke your hair growth like a kink in a hose. Even if your genetics are perfect and you're taking all the right medications, if your scalp is inflamed, it severely limits proper nutrient delivery and healthy hair cycling. Addressing these underlying scalp conditions, often through specialized medicated shampoos or topical treatments, can make a huge difference in your hair health and even regrowth. Many people even add microneedling to their regimen because it helps minoxidil penetrate the scalp and upregulates the enzyme that activates it. But there is a catch to all this. If you have scalp inflammation, this procedure actually worsens your condition, leading to more hair loss. What works wonders for someone without inflammation can be detrimental for someone who has it. Again, another example of the unexpected complexities of hair loss. The same treatment of microneedling grows hair for one and causes even more hair loss in another, even though their hair loss pattern with the naked eye looks identical. And fifth, remember that your hair is a reflection of your overall health. I learned this the hard way. Chronic stress, sleepless nights, skipping meals, or relying on junk food. All of these things can throw off your hair cycle, sometimes months before you ever notice thinning. Your body doesn't categorize hair as essential for survival. So when your internal levels, whether it's nutrients, hormones, or something else, are even slightly off, your hair is often among the first things to take a hit. This is precisely why hair loss can become incredibly complicated to treat. You often have to address and optimize nearly every other physiological imbalance in your body before your hair will even consider growing back. That's why dialing in your basics matters so much. Getting your thyroid and iron levels in a healthy range, addressing any vitamin D or zinc deficiencies, and simply taking better care of yourself, like less stress and more rest, can make a bigger difference than most people realize. When I finally took a step back and looked at my health as a whole, my hair responded so much better to other treatments that I was already using. It's not as simple as putting all your hopes into one pill or one product. Hair loss is a whole body issue, and the better you feel, the better your hair will grow. But understanding the science is only half the battle. Now, let's talk about the ugly truth that often undermines all that effort. The fundamentally broken hair loss industry. I've seen it firsthand, and if you've been on this journey for a while, you've probably seen it too. The reality is, there's no official board, no real regulation. Any physician can call themselves a hair loss specialist tomorrow. It's the Wild West out there. Hair loss is a $4 billion industry built on a shaky foundation. There are no real standards, very little oversight, and endless marketing hype. They're often selling you quick fixes and expensive, unproven treatments just because they can. And if you've been burned by a treatment that didn't work, if you've invested time, money, and emotional energy only to be disappointed, I get it. I've been there. I almost fell for it too. That feeling of frustration, of hitting a wall despite your best efforts, is exactly why I'm sharing with you what I've learned. You deserve a clear path built on facts, not fear or false hope. This is how I realized I needed a better way, one that actually reflected the science I'd been learning along the way. That's what led me to not only use Dermose, but to invest and advise in the company. They're addressing hair loss with a stepwise progression that uses the latest science to create a tailored plan for every single customer. Instead of just assuming that you have androgenic alopecia and throwing a generic treatment at you, Dermose starts by getting the full picture. They send a high-resolution scalp imaging device to your home, combined with comprehensive blood panels to first pinpoint a precise diagnosis. This is something that no one else in the industry does. Based on your results, the type of hair loss you have, and your goals, your treatment plan and medications are tailored to you. You're getting a customized formula, truly a first in the market. And on top of all that, your progress is monitored within a tight feedback loop. Every month, that same scanner device that you used to make the initial diagnosis is now used to take up-close pictures to track your progress. Decisions about adjusting your plan are now based on real data, not guesswork. You gotta admit, it's sad to say that this is revolutionary because this is truly what we should have been doing from the very beginning. If this kind of personalized and measured process had been available when I first noticed my hair thinning, it would have saved me a lot of stress and a lot of wasted time. And that's what really stands out. But get this. They'll even offer a free hair transplant if a customized plan doesn't work for you. That's how confident they are in the process. As the founder told me, if this system doesn't grow your hair, nothing out there will. And that brings me to the most important takeaway. Hair loss is complicated. If someone hands you a cookie-cutter solution without even looking deeper, it's not going to work. So stay curious. Take the time to figure out what's really going on in your scalp and in your body. And if you're serious about addressing hair loss in the right way, I've linked Dermose below. Wherever you go, make sure you demand a thorough diagnosis before you jump into any treatment. If you'd like a personalized and comprehensive hair loss evaluation, I have a special gift just for my subscribers. The first 50 people to use the link below will get a free one-on-one consultation with Arshan, the founder and CEO of Dermose. This is one of the world's most knowledgeable experts on hair loss who will speak to you about your unique situation. Use the link in the description, and it's only available to my subscribers. So make sure you subscribe and enjoy your call with Arshan.